Hello and welcome to Iron Rations. Oh my God! I just see Joe just filled up the live chat, folks. It is Iron Rations. That means it's a Friday night. It's the Friday night live stream with myself, Eric Tenkar, and my good friend Joe the lawyer.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope everybody had a good week this week.
Yeah, well, and I hope you've avoided the drama that I've been part of tonight. Touching on it very briefly, only because, well, I'm sure it can be mentioned in the chat. Gary Kahn made an awkward announcement about how they needed to do a video chat with all the attendees of March's Gary Kahn this year, and only said it was just to make sure it was a safe environment. And then they really wouldn't answer questions as to what that was. So there were assumptions made from people all over the spectrums of the world as to why they were doing this. But in the end, why they're doing it is because there was one bad actor last year at Virtual GaryCon. I do not know what they did, but based upon the actions they are taking to ensure this person does not return, I would assume it is activity that in some jurisdictions could actually be considered criminal behavior.
Which is odd because if you're going to do a screening, all you got to do is have if you want to be a dick, right? And you're going to show up at a con and do something rude or obnoxious or crass or whatever, then all you got to do is have like a friend get on there for the screening part, and then you jump into the rude, crash behavior. It just doesn't make any sense. And the man hours involved, thousands of people got to be screened, not just DMs, but thousands of people. Holy crap.
Well, you got to figure if the numbers going to GaryCon match the numbers that go to physically, you're probably looking at 2,500 to 3,000 people. And that's a lot of people. Even if your phone call even your Zoom call, or now it can be apparently doesn't have to be video, but even if the call is, hey, this is Matt Smith from GaryCon. How are you? I'm good.
Yeah.
So, are you Eric Tenkar? Yes, I am. Do you solemnly swear that you're Eric Tenkar? Yes, I do. All righty. Okay then. Anything else? You're not gonna do anything bad, right? No. Again, there's even if you only spend a minute per person, that's the man hours involved are huge, and the logistics, because you gotta even a minute per person is really 5 to 10 minutes because you gotta connect, you gotta get a schedule down. Call me between 3:30 and 3:47, except if it's not then by then. So I have a message from I got message from Luke, and yes, it was badly worded, and I truly think that the intentions were certainly the right intentions.
Yeah,
okay?
You want to keep out the assholes. Definitely want to keep out the assholes.
Yeah, you want to keep out the bad actors. That is important, not just to the people at your convention, but all convention goers, whether it's physical meet space or it's in virtual space. That's a huge thing. But the problem is, like you said, anybody could appear as you. I get my brother, I get my friend, I pay the homeless scale on the street. Can you sit in front of the camera and just say that you're Eric Tenkar for the next 5 minutes, and whenever they ask you a question, just go, uh-huh. Can't hear you. Can't really hear you because so I mean, but again, the intentions are good intentions. So I believe Luke is covering this tonight on a Zoom. If you guys all want to, go check out Luke, I would cry and be upset, but I lived through it. I mean, he's not only is he a better looking guy than me, but he's probably got more topical stuff to discuss than I do. But in any case, that is the elephant and the distraction in the room. Now on to bigger, better things. Oh, and if you're watching, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, subscribe, like, participate in the chat. You're doing that part right now. The chat's on fire.
Absolutely. We already have 9 people watching. We had 10. I guess I farted and I ran or something. But yeah, we had
Well,
we had 10 there. 9. Keep typing, keep talking. We want to make this sort of like a an interactive thing. But the Tenkar Tavern. We want to make it like you walked into a bar. Me and Eric are there having a couple already, and you join in. And you just jump into the conversation. And there might be a mechanism where we could do something where you join in the converation. Like we'll never know. But if we could figure that shit out, right?
Right.
So.
And now, and it might be that going forward, we might have a handful of people on. I want to say standby, but it's like, all right, well, we're gonna pull you in when this topic comes up, but then we gotta push. You gotta push them out though when the topic is over. So
and that is something we can keep control of our topics. Our topics
we don't
tend to be like herding cats. We don't really keep control of that too well.
Bad Mike, I bet Luke looks better with his shirt off than you do. Also, than anyone that's actually probably participating in this live stream right now. I would suspect that the lifetime military officer and the retired NYPD sergeant, 5 years retired, who wasn't in great shape when he was working. Yeah, I would say that Luke will definitely literally pull off a shirt better than I do if he pulls it off.
I guarantee you I would attract more harpoons than Luke did if I took my shirt off at the beach, though. So that's one thing I got. Gothridge Manor joins us. Tim, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? How are you going to vet us? Yeah, maybe we should. How do we vet our guests? How do we vet our audience, Eric? What should be the criteria for joining in?
Okay, if you can say one nice word about 4th edition, we probably don't let you in.
That's pretty. Yeah, that covers it, I think.
Otherwise, I don't know. Yes, Bob G, I like it actually does it would be it's a good thing that beard is long. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a good thing that Noam has a long beard. God damn it.
You know what that looks like? It looks like that old bastard in Babylon 5 near the end where they brought him the guy who saved.
Shit.
Doesn't it look like him? That the god, or whatever you want to call it, the oldest living being in the universe or something.
Oh God, yeah.
The hell is his name? I forget. Looks like that though. Yeah. Do I get pre-screened too? God. Speaking of screenings, I hope everybody's doing well with COVID, and my parents got their vaccination this week. Round 1, going to get round 2. So
my parents got punted. They were supposed to go yesterday, and they got punted for a week. And Rach was told, no, you should get your shot, sign up for it. And then it became, look at that, there's no shot anywhere unless I want to drive up to Plattsburgh.
Oh crap.
And if you don't know where Plattsburgh is, it's like saying I want to drive to Canada at the farthest point from New York City. I've been there once. And I have no need to go to the Air Force Base at this point. So
they made it so damn hard 75 and up is the first stage in Connecticut, right? So they made it so hard for us to do it for that age group that all their kids and grandkids had to do it for them online. And so I was lucky enough to get it done for them quickly as soon as they were able. So I got them in fast,
That's what I did with my parents, but they still didn't allocate the doses properly. So now it's like, all right, well, same time. Like Batman, same time, same channel. Well, at the same time, same location, a week later. All right, but hopefully we can. Rich was told to try to get your appointment after 11 o'clock at night, and before 11:05. I mean, I'd really like to know how that figures out. But 'tis the world of COVID. And by the way, yes, congestive heart failure, type 2 diabetic. I don't think the sciatica matters. Cancer survivor, Hodgkin's, which is an immune disease cancer. I'm looking at April, May.
Yeah, so, I'm just fat and high blood pressure. I'm probably looking around then for myself, the earliest.
Yeah,
I would think everything going slower here, So,
but if you smoke and you live in New Jersey, you're first round.
Well, if you live in New Jersey, you smoke anyway, just because of the pollution of New Jersey. Isn't that how it goes? I mean, we've all driven down 95, and you see those smoke stacks coming out of there. You lose a week off your life, Yeah, 40 sucked. But you don't need to know much about 40 there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of games and rules, you had a thing going earlier or yesterday, I guess, Eric. I listened to it today about you responded to some guys at this podcast and talked about the OSR and this and that, and had me thinking because I was listening while I was in the bathroom, so that's where I do my best thinking. And talked
I've been
about
there.
yeah. So you talking about rules light and the DMs making rulings and all that, just like going back to the Matt Finch thing.
Right.
It made me think that OSR is definitely rules light and DM, has the final say.
Right.
If you don't have both of those things, then you don't have an OSR game in my book. Because if you have rules light, but the DM doesn't have the final say, you got a story game, right? If you got a DM has the final say,
but story games generally also empower the player. So the player could say, wait a second, as I fell off that ledge, I managed to hook my foot on a tree root and save myself.
Exactly. That's what I say. You have to have both things. If you don't have rules light plus DM has the final say, you got a story game.
Yeah. Yeah,
you need them both, And so if you have just the DM has the final say and is rules heavy, you don't have OSR because if there's so many fucking rules, DM has nothing to have the final say over. What I mean? You need both in combination, I think, to have that.
No, I think you are right. And, I think when it comes to OSR gaming, it involves trust. Now, when you say story gaming, you have to trust that the players aren't going to make decisions that will superpower them to ungodly levels or whatever. But in an OSR game, players have to trust in their DM to be fair.
Yeah.
And now being fair does not mean playing favorites. It doesn't mean, oh shit, they made a bad decision. I can't kill the whole party. Although it might mean that. You might moderate some of that. You might defer some of that party death until later. But old school gaming means that decisions have consequences. And it doesn't mean that everything has to be balanced. You can throw that ogre up against that first level party as long as they have they have a route to retreat, or maybe they you give them those 2 minutes and they're like, all right, we got a plan, and this is what we're going to do. And you know what? Maybe that plan works, and maybe it doesn't. And if their plan works, they get a good reward. And if their plan doesn't, you might have a TPK.
Yeah.
But that is the fun, the joy of old school gaming, and it runs fast. I think that with old school gaming, even with the more complicated old school systems like AD&D 1E, which I think is one of the more complicated old school systems, as written,
because it's written like erratically and crazily.
Right.
So totally.
It was written before Gary started possibly partaking in hard drugs, but you wouldn't know that by reading it. And I'm not insulting Gary by saying that, okay? But the thing is that once you get the rhythm down for AD&D 1E and you strip out some and jettison some of the rules that are just unwieldy, it plays pretty quickly, and you can run it by just, once you know the ground rules at AD&D, you can take your DM screen and your adventure and pretty much run any adventure that doesn't require spells.
Yeah.
And if you need spells, you need your player's handbook as DM. But other than that, it's all going to be from the screen, everything that you need. So the rest of the DMG is pretty much either very system specific or situation specific, or it's advice.
Yeah.
And if you're an experienced advice, a lot of times you realize that your method, it might be better than what's going on in the DMG.
Yeah.
And if you're an experienced DM, you might also realize that to keep the pace going, it's better that you improv a role than spend 5 minutes finding it in the DMG.
He says, I like asking my players how they fail at something. I still get the final say, but they get to have input so it doesn't feel like it's player versus DM. That's how it was back in the day, right? Because we all started in high school. My brother still has mental scars from how he claims I tortured him in the games. there might be a little truth to that too, but yeah, it was a little PTSD never hurt,
Yeah,
But
I still hear the complaints from my old group. How come whenever we went to a town, the people always spit on us? I go, they didn't spit on you. Well, but they didn't fawn all over us because you had no reputation in that town. Nobody knew about you yet. But they're like, well, real DM, they would have been giving us free food. They're poverty.
free food.
Substance. How are they the free food that you're going to get? You wouldn't want to eat in the first place.
There is no socialism in D&D, damn it.
Yeah.
Go out and you got to earn your damn free food. Get the gold and buy it.
Take this shit and get out of here. You want free food?
Good question, Angus. I remember saying this when who the hell was it? Monty Cook came out with a new system. Whatever his old system now that he came out was new back then. I remember posting about Numenera, yeah, that thing. And I was like, Jesus Christ, we need another system. Back then there was only like 900 OSR clones and whatnot. Now there's 9,000, right? I mean,
well, Numenera is not an OSR clone. Numenera is a third edition deviation, kind of.
Yeah.
Third edition reimagined, if you want to say that.
That's his shit.
Here's my thought on OSR gaming systems. At this point, most new systems have their own shtick or their own genre or their own setting. So I look at it and just the other day there was a really cool system that was the deal of the day over on Drive-Thru. I posted about it too. And I have the rules. So now I gotta go back and try to find it real quick. Oh, the Bone Age. Okay, this is pretty much it's post-Holocaust, but post-Holocaust to the point that it's a Neolithic era. We've gone so far ahead that we've gone backwards.
Huh. And
I like it for the setting. The system is definitely D&D based, but it's got its own twist.
Yeah.
I could jettison the fucking system.
Yeah.
But I could take anything from that and use either setting or parts of that setting. Because you have to remember, too, when you're running an old school game, and so long as your setting isn't, I don't know, the Forgotten Realms, every setting has some place where strange, weird shit can happen. And yes, all of a sudden your players are in this area with Neolithic tribes. It can happen.
Yeah.
So I love the additional rule sets for that. Do I need the fourth interpretation of the BX rules?
No.
Probably not. I think that there's probably good presentations of those rules. Heck, even the original rules were not badly presented compared to AD&D.
Yeah.
I'm still amazed that those are the rules that I learned on. But
Shadzar saying fantasy heartbreaker glut. I think that's half the problem is that now, as opposed to 10 years ago, with print on demand going on with RPG, drive-through RPG or whatever, you can create your own fantasy heartbreaker. Everybody can do it. You got to sit down at your computer over the weekend, hack out 50 pages of rules, and next thing you know, boom, you got your RPG, and throw in a little flavor in there, and you got RPG/setting, and everybody can do it. So everybody's throwing it out there, right?
Right. And here's the thing. Most people don't want to write a setting. Why is that? Well, because you can take more pride in saying, well, I put out a game as opposed to a setting. And you could probably get more sales if you have a setting built into your new rule set and then build off that. You would think with that kind of logic that when I put out Swords and Wizardry Continual Light, that those 17 or so pages, I could have doubled that with a setting, and then it would have been like, oh, we'll just build everything off of this. And I haven't done anything with it since then. But that wasn't the point of it. The point of what I wrote, Swords and Wizardry Light and Continual Light, was to take an OSR rule set and present it in as few pages as possible while still being a complete game. So again, it runs smoothly at the table.
Yeah.
There's no reason why, I should have to, if I'm running a convention game, Swords and Wizardry Light rule set is in front of me as a GM screen most of the time, or to hide my notes as opposed to look at rules, because it's meant to be absorbed and just run with, and then continual light is meant to build off that. But I look at other rule sets and I go, oh my god, some of the flavor to it. Again, the setting material is
yeah. You look at Ash, right? You look at Astonishing Swords and First or Hyperborea, great system, same thing. Now that's a good question. Now, will OSR games coalesce into a few? I don't know about coalesce is the wrong word, maybe in terms of combination, but I think the ones that will survive are the ones that have been surviving the longest. And you know with the addition to that of old school essentials, because that's the new guy on the block, and
right,
you know, like the OSR mic drop there. That makes sense, yeah.
Right. There's a generational thing to the OSR rules, and just to like Castles and Crusades was like proto OSR. It was third edition, and then hacked into like an OSR feeling rule set, and I think they did a great job with it.
Yeah.
And
still around too. You're not going anywhere.
And it's still a popular system, and it stands off to on its own. Osric opened up the doorway, but Osric is pretty much maybe not. You can't call it dead, but nobody goes, "Oh, I play Osric."
Yeah, nobody played it.
I don't. Well, we did for a little bit, only because it was easier book to reference than 1E.
Yeah,
as a GM, it was a better reference material. As
and Labyrinth didn't have their advanced rules compendium out, and so there was Osric and Labyrinth Basic at the time. So that was your two basic choices 10 years ago, right? Swords and Wizardry too, but there was like 5 versions of that. You know.
But Swords and Wizardry was the last child on the block, and here's the difference here. So Castles of Crusades, supported by Troll Lord Games, constantly putting material out for it. Okay, that system works well. Labyrinth Lord, OGL, anybody could write for it. And in the beginning days, when the OSR was big print on demand stuff, all the big stuff was written for Labyrinth Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it was Michael Curtis putting out his latest mega dungeon or Dwimmermount.
Yeah.
You know, even though they put out a version for Axe, it was a Labyrinth Lord version. Labyrinth Lord was it. And then suddenly, without even notice, Labyrinth Lord started to fall behind. And I think Labyrinth Lord started to fall behind when Swords and Wizardry Complete came out.
Yes, exactly.
And when Swords and Wizardry Complete came out, it was, hey, now I got something that plays a lot like AD&D First Edition without all that extra weight. And that was great. And then they came, so you had Swords and Wizardry Core.
Yeah.
And that was the white box with some of the rules from Greyhawk, basically the variable weapon dice.
Yeah.
And then you got white box, which was Swords and Wizardry back to just the original books. Everything was based on a D6. Then you had Complete, which was all the supplements. So it's kind of like AD&D, really without the illusionist and without the fucked up bard class.
Or gnome, because you know how much Matt hates gnomes. Or monks. Gnomes are monks, I think. Yeah.
No, yeah. but actually, I think monks are in there, but illusionists aren't.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're not the AD&D type monks. They're not so uber powerful at high levels.
Yeah.
But the illusionist, there was no cognate to build it off of from the original rules that would fit in.
Yeah.
So that's why there wasn't one that was written with it. But Swords and Wizardry, before it had a chance to lose its spot on the podium, became the house rule set of Fraud God Games. So now Fraud God Games is putting everything out for Pathfinder and for Swords and Wizardry. And then it became Pathfinder, Swords and Wizardry, and 5e. And now it's pretty much 5e, Swords and Wizardry, and then for the smaller books, you're also going to get a Pathfinder version, 1e, and have a touch 2e. Swords and Wizardry has this built-in flavor, but now, Swords and Wizardry had a box set Kickstarter, which is representing the complete rules. It's the same rules.
Yeah, I guess, it's coming up soon, isn't it? I think I got the notice recently.
Yeah, it should be shipping soon. The problem was COVID, China.
Yeah.
That all got locked down. So for a while, Swords and Wizardry was like the OSR rule set. Then, as Joe said, another rule set came to light. Old School Essentials. When Old School Essentials hit, it was the, oh my God, this shit is awesome. This shit rocks. And it does. Great presentation is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much
BX, straight up.
Labyrinth Lord wanted to use a font and typeset that made you think of BX.
Yeah.
That's not the same with Old School Essentials. Old School Essentials says, we're going to make you look like a modern book, yet be written with and as easy to understand as BX.
Completely usable.
It is fucking amazing. If you haven't checked it out, it is really, really an awesome thing.
Yeah. Gnomes suck. Yeah, here's all talk about gnomes, and we summoned Matt Jackson. We said gnomes 3 times, and Matt Jackson shows up in the group here. Yeah. I don't. Eric, remember Steve? He's playing us through a Matt Jackson adventure. He took a Matt Jackson map, and then Matt Jackson's notes on the map, which are pretty much walk in room, kill player, walk in room, kill player, walk in room, player dies in a horrible way. So that's kind of the thrust of this adventure. So I'm down to 1 hit point. Started out at 5th level, 3 rooms later, I'm down to 1 hit point. So always fun, man. This is he had a bad day at work or something. He's like, I'm gonna fuck him.
I'm gonna. We have a question on Hackmaster, and
God.
Well, so here's the thing. Hackmaster 4E was the AD&D 2E rules with what do they call them? Hit point buffers or bonuses or whatever the fuck it was, bennies. Yeah. And they could not write. They had to keep it satirical. That was their license. Yeah. You can have the 2E rule set, but it's got to be satirical.
It was all right.
Yeah, no, it certainly was. Hackmaster 5E said, all right, fuck that. We don't want to be beholden. And maybe their limited license was coming up. They got that license basically because I guess it was still in the TSR days. They took the Dragon magazine, first 250 issues, they put them on PDF. I had it. I loved it. But apparently they didn't. Right? CD. Yeah, but the PDF format on the CDs.
Yeah.
And here's the issue: they did not get a license from the Knights of the Dinner Table people, Kenzuko.
Yeah.
To use their format in a digital format. To use their, they could, if they had printed the Dragon magazine like a Best of the Dragon, they probably could have done it, but they didn't have the digital rights, and therefore they got sued. And it's like, well, we could pay you money we don't have, or we can give you rights to 2E with the one condition: it must be a satirical presentation.
Yeah.
Hackmaster 5 came out. I only own the basic book for that, which
that's all I have too. Did they ever come out with the advance?
No, they came out with the regular full book. And I know people who play it.
Yeah, really? I had high hopes for that thing. I remember because that was early OSR shit, 08 or something, right? And I went to one of the few stores who had it, and I got it. And I had such high hopes because I was thinking this. I think there's a blog post somewhere saying this might be the future of the OSR because Hackmaster had his roots in 2E. I thought they'd go with simple root. That fucking thing was so confusing. Their circle of combat. It was like this wheel of death of combat initiative turns.
Here's the thing: from people that I've talked to, there are 1 or 2 ways to look at Hackmaster's initiative system. It is either OSR initiative taken to 11 like Spinal Tap and oh my god, it's godlike, or it's OSR initiative taken to 11 and oh my god, you just burned out your amplifier.
Yeah, that's for me. I couldn't get them to read it 3 times. I'm like, this is dumb. Why did they do this? They had a chance to simplify, and they went AD&D times 10. You know, I was like, what in the hell are you doing?
Shads are correcting me, which is why we have a live audience.
Yeah.
Witches of the Coast released the Best of the Dragon. Okay, my bad on that. And you're right; they didn't probably bother to read many of the licenses that TSR had, and that was one of them.
I'm surprised they didn't just pay them off because they had buku bucks back then from when they bought it for the Magic the Gathering. You know, I mean, I was surprised they didn't say, here's 20 grand, shut up and go away or something. You know, but, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think that when they bought it out, they bought out a large amount of debt or liability. So I guess it's like but they turned that company around pretty quickly to Hasbro. So it's almost like venture capitalism.
Yeah,
it's like hey, how much can we invest, make this viable, and then sell it off to the big brother corporation?
As the guy who pretty much founded Wizards, does he still own Gen Con? Is that still his thing? Did he keep that for himself? What the hell was his name?
Oh,
Addison or something? Peter
Peter,
Addison?
Peter, yeah, I think so. But listen. These are people that when I go to GaryCon, they are there. I don't get invited to that special party.
Oh, that's
All,
that's the big kids table, huh? You know.
oh, dude, that's the big kids table where like apparently you step into the room and like the first sign you see is what happens at GaryCon stays at GaryCon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like a Las Vegas room.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard stories from two friends of mine. One who got to go as a guest of the other friend of mine, and they're like, "Yeah, we hung around for about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes." I go, "Those parties last for like 4 or 5 hours." I know. My room was right across from it one time, and they had like guards like "Thou shalt not pass." They actually
Wow.
vetted you. Oh yeah. They big bruisers too.
What the hell goes on? What, they got like strippers jumping out of cakes? What goes on in there? Man?
You know what? All I was told was, and it's come from somebody who's a decent drinker. We didn't feel comfortable. I was like, okay,
Really?
yeah. So I don't know.
Comfortable with the amount of drinking or with the amount of debauchery? What are we talking about here?
It could be a little bit of both. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, but then again, you know, since we have our favorite, I can't call them old school anymore, really. But what is it? Dwarvenite, our friend who moved from Brooklyn to Seattle.
Oh, that guy.
Dwarven Forge.
Yeah,
yes.
I met him one time.
Yeah, I met him many a time, and you damn well better like heavy metal, because that's all you're going to be hearing is pretty much heavy metal.
Really?
Yeah. You remember when boom boxes were a thing?
Oh yeah. There's an entire generation of people who have one shoulder lower than the other because of those fucking things. You remember they're like 80 pounds sitting on your shoulder, walking around the street. 500 D batteries in them for last 1 hour.
He'll make his appearance known with the boombox and a nice bottle of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Atkinson. We got corrected by Shadzar and Bad Mike. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's gonna go. They're gonna have that.
Stephen Picorni is a trip. Yes, he is, Mike. Everybody, it's time to rock.
Are they going to have Gen Con this year in person again, you think? You think it's going to be something?
I don't know. They're saying it's going to be in person. I don't know.
That's August, right? I mean, that's cutting it close. That's most people will probably be vaccinated, but who knows, man?
I don't even know, but most people, maybe half.
You think? I mean, the people who say no to it, that's true.
Well, not even just people that say no to it. Just the rollout in some areas is going really well. In some areas, it's going like, what the fuck? I mean, I think part of the problem with New York is that you have New York State distributing and New York City distributing, and they're both distributing within New York City, but they're both using different. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, wow. They're rolling out here with, I guess, CVS and Walgreens are going to be distributing soon. There's pharmacies out here from in the East Coast.
Oh, yeah, they're saying that, in New York too, but they have to have the shit to distribute it. And are they going to have you? You're on the list, okay? You got to make sure you're on the list. What's your name again?
Yeah. Well, here what you do: you register online with a site, you get a printout, and on that printout is one of those things that you scan in. It's one of those squares with all the dots in the middle of it. You scan it when you get there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that thing is called, but yeah. So you scan it when you get there, you're good to go.
Well, with New York City, the problem is you try to register for a location, and at least it changed today. I was helping Rach with it. It didn't ask for all of your information before telling you that the location that you're looking at has no slots available.
Wow.
Before it made you put in social security number, date of birth, address, phone number. You have medical insurance. Okay, what's your medical insurance? Put all that in. Beep.
My God. It's the opposite here. First, you put your info, and then you get to say, okay, now go register. And it says within X miles of your place, and then you click on it, and you see vacancy. At least you don't lose your stuff that way, Oh, Jesus. Dragonlance. Oh, Dragonlance talk again here. Is that thing done? I think they'd resolved it. They had a settlement.
Well, no, they didn't say they had a settlement. They basically withdrew their lawsuit. It was dismissed
without prejudice or with?
Without.
Without.
So without. So they can always come back and file again.
Yeah.
It was dismissed without. So usually that means that they've got a deal or are close to a deal.
Yeah.
All right, Rabbit, you have convinced me. I'll look for my money in the city, type of deal. And it's like, okay. So,
God, there's a quote there, Rabbit. Right, Rabbit.
Okay.
That was a good one.
All right, Rabbit.
That was a good episode.
Oh, it was a great one.
That's where they had him in the oven and blew him up and shit, right?
Yeah.
Baby Finster.
It's the cops. Oh, hide me. Get in the stove. He takes out the plunger.
Jesus.
All right, Rabbit. Where is he? Where's Muggsy?
Is that why you became a cop? Because of that episode?
Is
that what inspired you?
I love that one. Well, he's not hiding in the stove. Oh, so he's hiding in the stove, eh? But I turn on the gas if my friend Muggsy was in there. You might, Rabbit. You might. Would I toss a lighted match if my friend Muggsy was in there? No. All right, Rabbit. You have convinced me.
Oh, my God.
That was, of course, the fake cops. Then the real cop comes. Same time. I go through the whole thing. Arrest me. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Somebody please clip that and publish that entire little 15 seconds of Eric doing the cop all over the fucking internet, please. Just clip this and publish it.
Shush.
Hey, about the other topic. These are just two topics from the text I was throwing to Eric before. It's interesting because I was thinking again, do my best thinking in the bathroom, whether on the porcelain throne or in the shower. The origin of feats, right? So a DM, an old school game, say, all right, the player wants to do something weird. Say he wants to do an Errol Flynn swing, land in the crowd of people and kick two down, one with each leg, and knocks them down and does damage or something like that. And DM says, oh, that's kind of cool. All right, I'll let you do it. Do a dex check or whatever the fuck, right? And then that's kind of a cool special move, right? It works. The player does great damage. Now the player says, you know what? I want to try it like all the damn time because it's better than my base attack use sometimes, and and I don't have to, use it up like a spell slot or something like that. Right. And so they keep doing it. And I think if you think about that, it's sort of like the origin of feats. They just evolve into something the player wants to do over and over again. And this goes back to the sort of the DM player trust, because it's sort of breaking a game if you do it over and over again, because it does more damage or has more of an effect than the regular thing, right? So the DM's got to trust the player won't abuse it and want to do it all the freaking time. But where there's not that trust, or where it gets broken, or sometimes it might just get codified into the rules, and I think that's what you call feats. That's just a thought.
But I'm going to say that I think the origin of feats. Mm-hmm. If you want to go back to the very origin of feats, in my opinion, it is Unearthed Arcana, because Unearthed Arcana gave us weapon specialization, double specialization. It gave you point blank attacks with a bow if you had specialization in it, so it allowed you to suddenly specialize your fighter or your ranger or your paladin into a real fucking kill house. And you didn't need to say, well, my fighter only has 17 strength. Yeah, but you're +3 hit, +3 damage with your longsword.
At first level.
At first level. Yeah. And you're getting 3 attacks every 2 rounds. Yo, bro. And I think that was the start of it. However, I think that the Dungeoneer and Wilderness Survival Guides brought us closer, because they gave us skills. And when they gave us those non-weapon proficiencies, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't call it skills back then. They were NWPs. Yep. And I can't tell you what else that might stand for, because it'll probably get me kicked off of YouTube. But non-weapon proficiencies, we were all like, oh, I got my writing skills now. Writing gave you abilities, right? Or this gave you abilities. And suddenly it's like, your character was more than just your pure combat skills. Mm-hmm. Then you went to 2A, and then 2A started refining a lot of that stuff. But 2A went into a different direction that I think indirectly affects the whole thing of feats. Tui said, "Hey, let's just not think about treasure being from experience points being from treasure and combat experience. Thieves should get experience points for using their thief
Oh
ability.
yeah. Then you
You
got
know,
thieves stealing from the group all the time to try to get XP.
right?
Yeah.
And and magic uses for casting spells, and so then you started getting to the idea of okay, so I can specialize my activities now
Yeah.
for what's going to benefit my character.
Yeah.
So then, when third edition came along, and lest we forget, skills and powers, the end of Tui,
I had to start
where
at 2.5. The whole different
yeah,
binding, all those things,
it
combat and
changed
tactics.
it. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it changed the game into a weirdly
Yeah.
fucking mess.
I never played that, thank God. I went from 2 to a long break and then 3. But I recently bought those books and they're shit. They're pure shit. Now I see when I read those books, I'm like, this is where fucking third edition came from. It's not so much of a huge jump as I thought it was because I'd never read them before. It's a shit show.
Now, Chantar brings up the idea that the complete guides had kits, prestige classes. And if you look at these prestige classes, some of their abilities get replicated in third edition as feats. Tui was kind of loosely playing with the idea, but third edition turned him into feats because in third edition was more about how do I make the character statistic and power-wise what I want them to be, as opposed to saying my character, my 180 fighter grew organically, right? Because that's what you did. Your character is defined by the items that they found, and maybe magic pool gave me a bonus to here.
Yeah. And the activities they did and what they achieved, you know? Their reputation preceded them, not their damn weapon array or their feat list,
Yeah, so when it came down to third edition in a lot of ways was a cleanup of second edition and allowed you to take your characters and fine-tune them more, which is what Feats allowed. Right? I see my fighter being more of a outdoorsy, not really a ranger, but I'm going to take some similar skills to what a ranger would take with my feats and this and that. And I want my thief to be somebody who's more acrobatic without taking the acrobat subclass in the Unearthed Arcana. So I think it was all about customization of classes. But the problem is that the customization reinforced the Christmas tree effect of the early editions, which is what, you're defined by your magical items. Now it's like, well, now this feat with this magic item turns me into Ubermensch, and I want to be Ubermensch. And I think that they're in. So there is this like all good intentions lead to hell.
Yeah. I think the initial thing with AD&D, it's like they realized that once you get into the mid levels or whatever, a fighter is nowhere as good as a pound for pound laying waste as a magic user, I think, or something along those lines, or the casters. So let's give them a little more boomph, right? And then I think I was probably with the Wilderness Survival Guide and the Dungeoneer Survival Guide, was just here's some flavor, but yeah, it's a slippery slope. It led to hell. And then I think a lot of 30 people, they say to themselves, you know what? And 30 and later, you know what? I just want my fighter to be different than every other fighter. Therefore, I'm going to pick a different feat array or a different list of things I could do. But you know what? You're not really better because it's a mechanics. If you take away the name of the feat and you take away the cool jazz about what it says it does in a description, it comes down to a +1 or a +2 or a +3 to something. And then somebody else has got a different thing that gives them a +1, +2, or +3 to something. So are you really different? You just got you just have a lot of different names and a lot of different math added on top of some basic bullshit. That's all it really is.
So I think here's the part of the evolution of our hobby is war games begat RPGs.
Yeah.
And then RPGs begat computer games.
Mm-hmm.
And then computer games beget computer RPGs.
Yeah.
And then computer RPGs beget MMO RPGs.
Yep.
And once we had MMO RPGs, Then tabletop RPGs looked at what their progeny had become and said, "Oh shit, we got to become more like them."
Yeah, that's 4E right there. That's what I think what 4E was.
That's where the money is.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some of that going back to 3. I believe that my EverQuest and WoW rule sets, definitely my EverQuest, was based on the OGL of the 3, right? Wasn't that out by White Wolf Publishing or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, because I had to get it because I played EverQuest. You got it. Not that I was playing D&D at the time, but still, you had to get the stuff.
Begot.
All right, begat. Hey, I'm a New Yorker. I begot it. I begot what I begot. You get the fuck out of here. Okay?
Oh man.
I tell you, all right, you don't mess with Vinny from the block, although I don't know why I'd be Vinny. Sounds more impressive than Eric from the block. It's like, oh,
Eric is not quite as cool as
Tenkar from the block.
Plus, wasn't Vinny? Wasn't he the name of the guy that was it John Travolta played in that freaking that disco movie in the 70s? Wasn't it him?
Oh my god, yeah.
Just do a disco in the 70s, man.
No, I
didn't get all dressed up like that.
Listen, dude, I'm not much older than you, okay? I turned 18 in 1985. So the 70s, I was not. I was not dressing like that. I was the one taking my pen, in chorus because I wasn't going to take a class that required me to carry an instrument. In junior high school, writing "Disco sucks, go Islanders." Never saw a hockey game at that point in my life because didn't have cable, and they really didn't show it much. And then we watched it back then. You couldn't pay attention because you couldn't follow the puck on the 9-inch black and white TV.
Yeah. But you're right. It's a little puck on ice. It's like it moves too fucking fast. 12 inches, 19-inch TV. We had a 19-inch black and white. That was it, man. Danny Zuko in Greece.
Yeah, but who was he in Saturday Night Fever?
I don't know, because it was Vinny Barbarino. You're right. And Welcome Back, Carter. He played the Sweat Hogs. Oh God, what the hell is his name? I don't remember. I might have to watch this again. Man, I was going through a YouTube dive about a couple of years ago, and I was, you just get one video, goes to another, and when you add like a little drink and a little weed to the mix, you just 3 a.m. you just don't know what the fuck you're doing. At some point during the night, I must have hit disco, because the next day when I woke up and I saw that I had ordered the Saturday Night Fever LP on Amazon, and it was on its way. So that's how I know I hit disco at some point during the night.
Well, you know what? At least it wasn't a disco ball. I mean, I used to think the disco balls were cool, but just thought disco sucked. But I'd love to have that ball hanging from my. No, I wouldn't.
I would totally get that fucking ball hanging. If I could get a disco ball, dude, I'd be all over that shit, man. You've seen pictures of my place. It's a 70 sippy dive as it is. A disco ball in there. I'm right in my element.
Tony Manero.
Yes.
Hey, you can't get more Italian New York than Tony Manero.
Walking down the street with 2 pieces of pizza, one on top of the other, eating them at the same time. I thought that was ballsy as shit when I saw that, man.
And I'd be like, I had never had enough money to buy more than one slice at a time. How am I going to buy 2? What a waste. I'll just fold it over. It'll be just the same thing. I'll get the same excitement.
That's when New York had character, dude, back then. Now it's all fucking gentrified and homogenized, pasteurized, vitamin D New York. There's nothing different about it anywhere. Manhattan.
It is. Manhattan. You haven't driven through Manhattan in the last...
No, I don't want to get COVID, dude.
Well, I've driven through Manhattan, and it's just like, where have all the people gone?
Really? It's that bad?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. It's like the mamas and the papas want to break out and start doing some of their songs.
Is it good 70s style? Is it like all crime-ridden and like garbage in the street?
Dirty as fucking shit.
Is it really?
Yeah,
that gave a character in the 70s and 80s. All the garbage, laying around and dog shit everywhere. And
yeah. 70s, my father got mugged on a train. So
yeah. It's just bad experience, but that was the good old New York. Jesus Christ. Oh God, Tony. Yeah, 31 days. Who knows?
They want to know about you with a disco ball and a stripper pole, Joe. But I don't
you know what? There's a bar of ill repute.
But the bar we can't reach on this show, and we like to stay in that PG-13 R zone.
Are we?
But,
All right. I better pull back on the story I was just about to tell you.
No. We don't. We want most of it to be PG-13. We definitely hit R, but once we hit like NC-17,
all right,
where it's like full frontal nudity,
yeah,
where like James Spahn comes along and gives us a topless show, we can't do that because we respect our audience too much. And
it would harm. I want to get viewership up, not down.
Right. And I can't afford to puke on my laptop. I already had cat puke on it. I don't need to have much.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was out of the room when I hear Rach go, Eric. I'm like, yeah. Come back. I go, why? You got a problem with your laptop? I'm like, well, the cat was laying on it. Yeah, well, she's not laying on it now. I'm like, excellent. She puked on it. I'm like, but no, Rach got it in time. Nothing.
I'm allergic to cats, so I can't have one here. Thank God, in a way, because I could never deal with that. Be an outside cat, I'll tell you what. Eric's OnlyFans. You got an OnlyFans site that I don't know about?
No. No. The only cam I have is the cam you're looking at, right? unless you're listening on a podcast, in which case there's no cam. It's just a microphone.
Just the voice.
The voice. It's that soothing New York voice that I know you all come back to listen to. Again, when I was at Gamehole a couple of years ago, and I'm online to get breakfast, and I'm talking with Rach, and all of a sudden I hear, "Oh shit, that's Tenkar." I'm like, "What? I know that New York accent anywhere." I'm like, "What?" I listened to your podcast. Never met me before. I listened to the podcast. I'm like, I'm afraid that I'm that noticeable because, it's bad enough that I have to listen to myself on occasion.
Jeez. Hey, you excited about the Goodman games? Or book 6, I think it's going to be 6. It's the Temple of Elemental Evil, man. 2-volume set.
2 volumes.
2 volume. They've expanded to 2 volumes now. Yeah.
I had overheard Mike Merles discussing that project, I think 2 years ago. None other than Gary Con. And this is also when I was hearing rumors that Wizards of the Coast wasn't necessarily thrilled with the quality of B1, B2, not the actual quality of the work done,
but the
paper.
Book.
The paper itself was very light. The later ones have definitely increased the page thickness without increasing the number of pages. David, 600 pages doesn't make a difference. I've got to get it.
I mean, too.
I ran it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
In the 80s. It was a go-to. I could probably pull it again and just relive it.
I love it. It's like it feels like Hamlet feels like home to me. We've played it so many times. My brother and I, he's run it, I've run it. We've run it for different groups, and it's so fun that even though we know it, we know where each of us is going to change it up a little bit so that it's not, the bad guys aren't the merchant or the trader post. Just the little things that change up so you're not knowing what's coming, but even knowing a lot of what's coming, it doesn't matter. It's fun. It's fucking fun. I just can't wait.
You know what? I can get a beater copy on eBay, or I can wait till this is on Amazon and probably get it for like $37.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, it's 2 volume, might be a little bit more.
Right. But here's the thing: and again, there are going to be people that are going to be throwing shit at me virtually. Thank God I got a computer screen between us. If you want to get Goodman game stuff upon release, certainly buy through Goodman. If you want to support Goodman and give them the highest share of the money you spent, definitely go to Goodman.
Yeah.
If you want to get a deal on these $50 oversized hardback books, wait a couple of months and then get it on Amazon. You're not getting it through a third party. You're getting it through Amazon. It ships Prime, and it's like, I don't know, $36, $38.
Yeah.
You can't beat it. So I've done that with my later ones. I will suggest this: don't buy them at a fucking convention, because then you have to take them home with you.
Yeah.
If you're on a plane, that's a pain in the fucking ass. I bought my first one at a convention, and then A certain friend of mine who will remain nameless but has appeared shirtless, James Bond. Fuck. Like, oh, can you pick me up one too? And it's like, dude, I'd have to throw out some of my clothing or Rachel's to get this to fit. And I'm not throwing out Rachel's clothing. And I can only wear so much on one shot on the plane. So
Man, Tim is right. Gothridge Manor. Noble Knight Games gets copies quick and at good prices. Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know what? I got off a Noble Knight recently. I got one of the few they had left. Speaking of big tomes and folios, it was that fucking Judges Guild book that they put out. It's like 11 inches by 17 inches. It's huge.
Oh yeah, with the old newsletters or whatever.
Yeah, it's massive. It has some adventures in there and all this shit. And now we got one coming out. I did the Kickstarter, $180, I think, for Janelle Jacquet's book, the Judges Guild, volume 2 or whatever. Looking forward to that. But there's like no bookshelf in existence holds this thing. I have it stacked on top of one, laying down flat.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a collector's item, though. I know that's the kind of thing that'll go up in value. I know that'll go up in value.
Oh yeah, especially because they're not going to be doing any more Judges Guild stuff after that.
No. That'll be the last hurrah.
Wine number 2, by the way.
Wine in a can? Well, you got what?
Well, actually, yeah, because this is wine in a can. Now, I'm not getting paid for this advertisement, folks, so don't get all upset. Bev. This is a California rosé wine, 11.9% alcohol, 0 sugar.
All right.
It's got like 2 carbs per 8-ounce can. So, is it cheaper to buy a box of wine? Of course, I don't buy box wine. I usually get, I don't know, like six bottles for like $90. It's a piece of wines. But this is nice. It's a little bubbly, and knowing it's not going to impact my blood sugar, that's pretty good.
What do we get there, man?
How do hardbacks have the handouts? The Tales of Yawning Portal Mess have them as part of the Stitch pages. You couldn't hand them out. If you are, listen, did I rip shit out of stuff when I was younger? Of course.
Yeah.
If you're ripping shit out of stuff now because you don't have a printer that can scan at your house, shame on you.
Yeah, pretty much. Or there's PDFs available all over the internet. They just fall into your laptop sometimes.
Right. I mean, I'm quite well sure that with little effort, any of our listeners could find the handouts to any. And I'm not saying you should be getting the adventure or the module itself. I'm not saying that. You already own the adventure or the module.
Yeah.
You are getting something that you already own, so you can print it at your house, so you don't have to pull out pages from it.
That's how I justify it, at least.
I'm pretty sure that part is legal.
Yeah.
It's the illegal part is if you don't own it.
Yeah.
And it's not legal. It's not as carbonated as a wine cooler. It doesn't have the sugar as a wine cooler.
Yeah, sugar. That wine cooler sugar.
Wine coolers. Yeah.
Remember those Zimas, dude? Remember those fucking Zimas? They're like 10% alcohol with like pure sugar. Holy crap!
I talked about Zima when Mike and I were having our live stream. And here's the problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was talking about when I was in college, I couldn't do a paper without having at least 4 beers in me. I had to get boozed up, get a little liquor, and I had to get my sister's word processor, so I had my 2 limes. And no rough draft, no writing this shit out. And you just went, but I had to have that much beer in me because at least that much, because it made it. And I would get the fucking, what was it? Oh shit! It was that, and it would be the high caffeine, high sugar cola, Joe Cola. So I'd be
I remember that. Yeah, vaguely remember that. Yeah,
Joe Cola from when you start feeling down, then you jolt up. Yeah. And when you felt too wired, then you got more beer in you.
Yeah.
Because I was always procrastinating, waiting till the last moment.
Oh yeah.
So one time I had no beer, so all I had was Zima, and I was surprised to find the Zima because I still had 4 bottles in the back of the fridge, which means I bought a 6-pack, had 2 bottles, and then never wanted Zima again. And my problem with Zima is that the first Zima that you ever have, it's like people sing, birds are twerping, and you're like, holy shit, this is good. And then you have that second Zima, and you're like, oh my God, it tastes like fucking swill.
Yeah, but it gets you there fast, man.
Yeah, no. So I never thought I was like, oh, I do those. I don't. I got like a B plus, I think, on that paper, but I don't. I couldn't even say what class it was in, man.
Yeah.
I was so. I fell asleep at the kitchen table. That's how much I drank.
Yeah. Well, Michael's here. Actually, my brother is Michael there. He says they should stop being scumbags and put those map books like they did in the back of AD&D. Hard to DM with a hardcover when you have to flip back to the map. I agree. That was the best part of Temple. Remember that little freaking map? That
map
booklet?
Right out.
Yeah.
And now there are going to be people that are going to go, but that's the great part about it. I don't want your fucking poster maps. All right. I'd rather get 4 individual maps folded up than one poster map, because you know what I can't do with a poster map? I can't use it at the fucking table.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. Everybody turn around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull out the fucking map.
And then you can never fold it back right. It's like a regular fucking map in your car back in the old days. It's always,
Poster maps are great for settings.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That is what it should be. But when it comes to a dungeon map, and I'm sure if I bring back, Greg Gillespie will probably be a guest either on this or with Bad Mike and I'm going to be telling him I don't like poster maps. He's going to be like, fuck you. Barrowmaze is great. I go, Barrowmaze is great, but I don't want the poster maps. But they got a PDF. So I can print out the maps that I need.
Yeah, and they have it in 2 versions. You can look at the poster or page by page. I printed it page by page when I did it, It's just easier. It's just easier. As for Zimas left. Who has Zimas anymore? I think they outlawed Zimas because they were too high alcohol. Like, girls were thinking they were wine coolers and getting sloshed, basically, because they thought it was like 2% drinks, and they were fucking, obliterating them, going to a club or whatever. Yeah, all those big mega AD&D adventures. Michael said it has 128-page ones. They had all the map booklets. The Slave Lord ones did. The Demon Pit one, the Queen of Demon Webs or something had them. Yeah, they were good. They were good.
Zima Clear Malt was a clear, lightly carbonated alcoholic beverage made and distributed by the Coors Brewing Company. Did you know that?
What's the alcohol now in it, though?
Introduced in 1993, it was marketed as the alternative beer. And it's an example of what is now often referred to as a cooler, with 4.7 to 5.4% alcohol. I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah, they cut it down, though. They were 10.
Were they?
Yeah, that was the problem with them.
U.S. production ceased in October of 2008. But it's marketed in Japan. It was brought back by Miller Coors in 2017 for a limited run in the summer of 17, summer of 2018. Did not return in the summer of 2019.
Oh shit! I didn't think they were around. Remember the other good one back then was Cider Jack. That was another doozy of a wine. God, yes. That'll obliterate you too.
Originally popular among young women, Coors made its first attempt at attracting young men to the brand in 1995 by marketing Zima Gold, an amber-colored beverage that promised you a taste of bourbon. I think I remember that. The drink was unpopular and disappeared from store shelves within a year.
Yeah, no good.
Listen, I remember when wine coolers actually. I think that New York State, maybe now it's changed, but for a while, your wine cooler could not be a wine cooler. Your wine cooler was actually a malt beverage with fruit flavoring, which kind of ruined the whole idea of wine coolers.
Is there going to be a Barrowmaze 4? What? Is that what David's saying? Oh, needs to get Barrowmaze 4 kickstarted already.
I don't know what his next. He's working on something. He's got Barrowmaze. He's had Barrowmaze 1, Barrowmaze 2, which became Barrowmaze Complete.
Yeah.
Then 2 others after that. I own them both. I can't remember the names right now because I guess I'm not liquored up enough.
2 other Barrowmazes. There were 2 new Barrowmazes. I have the complete. I have the complete for basic.
Barrowmaze 1 and 2 combined
was complete. Yeah.
And then he had 2 other adventures after that. One of them was like Floating Clouds.
Oh, okay. Well, it wasn't Barrowmaze.
No.
Yeah, that's the best OSR mega dungeon for my money. Honestly, I looked at them all, every one of them, and I think that's really the best one out there.
It's made for drop in, drop out, and that's the
thing.
Yeah. I think that we forget. OSR games, going back to an earlier topic, are not made for adventure paths. Mm-hmm. Are there kind of adventure paths out there? Sure, but they're all kind of shoehorned.
Yeah.
T1 to 4 is a mega dungeon, or a moderate mega dungeon. I've been told it's not a mega dungeon. It's not big enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. But
I see that
you
argument.
don't have adventures that will generally last over 6 themed episodes and 24 sessions. That is totally one fucking storyline.
Yeah.
Usually you get a couple of parts of the storyline, and then your party goes off somewhere else. Like when we did it back in the day, it was what we would call now episodic.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, what module did DM get this time? Oh shit! Well, we're gonna go from G2 to D1 because that's what I got.
Yeah. It's because that's what Walden Books had. You ran what Walden Books had, man.
And then it changed a bit when Dungeon Magazine came out. Because before that, if you had a Dragon magazine that had a dungeon in it or an adventure in it, that was awesome. But things like Fen Defensa were few and far between. And not only that, they were usually like written for higher levels. And my experience with high level adventures was that it really depended on how your party was composed and whether or not they were never balanced for the generic party. They were balanced for whatever DM wrote that fucking adventure. But when you got Dungeon Magazine, you had all these adventures that you could choose from. And then it became, I can string this together to a couple of sessions. One leads to the other, leads to the next. Because usually it was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pull a dungeon. So you tie your horses up at the tree in front of the dungeon entrance. What does it look like? It looks like a dungeon entrance.
Oh, go in, motherfucker. Go in.
Yeah. What does a dungeon entrance look like? Yeah. Stairs going down. In the middle of what? In the middle of a fucking forest. There's stairs going. Who would put stairs in the middle of the forest? I don't fucking know. Somebody stairs in the middle of the fucking forest. Are you going to go down? Because listen, I have a sheet of graph paper without one square free. Everything is fucking full. These walls are paper thin. They're tenement walls. You want to get in there. You want to kill shit and take their stuff.
If you keep arguing, I'm going to turn to the dragon section of the Monster Manual, and there won't be no more arguments.
Right. I mean, I still remember reading, I think it was like issue 66, 68, Dungeon Magazine, Dragon Magazine, with the volume of a fireball. And
oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I read that.
Never played it like that.
Okay. So let me figure. So first time I did that, it was a TPK.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I guess I can't do that anymore. So my party wasn't going to change their way of doing it. I got a lot of fireballs. I'm going to fucking. I'll tell you how many charges. You don't know. I'm going to use this for every encounter until there's no more charges.
Yeah. Or no more player group.
Highfell and Caverns, Forbidden Caverns of.
I hadn't heard that he made anything like that. It sounds like that's cool. I'll check him out, man. That's good. David is leaving. Sorry, David. It's next week. We're going to start at 8. I think we were talking.
No, actually 2 weeks from today we're going to be starting.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Right. Next week will be Glenn and myself. Glenn is on Central Time, but maybe we'll start at 8. We'll see.
Yeah, because I know it's Friday and we're all a bunch of old people and we got to be in bed early.
I know my sciatica is killing me.
Is it still really?
Actually, no, it's not as bad as it was with the weight loss and the fitness boxing too.
Nice.
On the Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
Yeah, when it tells you you've done it 6 days in a row, I went, oh shit! I didn't. Oh, I skipped today. Fuck.
Yeah. Hey, still time left of the day. You got 2. You got an hour and 49 minutes.
No, I didn't have to. That's good. I need to rest my bones. Yeah. I need to get back into livable shape.
Yeah, I exercise 6 days a week. And Sunday, I figure it's good enough for God. I'm taking a day off too, motherfucker. That's it. I don't do anything. I don't exercise on Sunday. But yeah, it's done. I'm down with 43 pounds, man. So we're good. We're getting there. Drop in the bucket or a piss hole in the snow, as my old teacher used to say.
You know what? Progress is progress. I've actually since Thanksgiving I've put on like 5 pounds, but I guess it could be worse. I'm sure in the past I probably put on 15 pounds in the holidays. So
Yeah. Holidays have come out of it net zero. I went up, I went down by the end of January 3rd or whatever. I was like net zero, which was good. I was happy about that, you know? Yeah.
Wasn't Net Zero one of the dial-up companies when we were younger?
Netscape. No, that was the browser. What the fuck? You're
No,
right though. No, Netcom.
Netcom. Okay.
Yeah, I had that. I got nailed on a bill one time because it was minute by minute you had to pay for that shit.
Oh
And you
yeah.
didn't keep track of the minutes. I got a $700 bill one month for fucking Netcom usage. Like
Well,
fuck.
here
Dude.
I'm gonna give you a funny one. I used to have to pay. I had Amazon, I had AOL for here, but there was no AOL local dial-up for the
Uh,
Poconos. So I had dial-up for the Poconos, and I could use it here kind of too, but not well. Uh, but the Poconos dial-up was pretty much local for up there. I canceled it back in, I don't know, 2008, 2009, whenever my parents got DSL.
yeah.
Last year, I I get mail, and I'm looking at the company. I was like, whatever, it was Poconos, Poconos Internet. I'm like,
Yeah.
$780 because they were billing me for every month after, and I had to cancel receipt in my email.
Holy shit.
I went, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not. I go ahead, try to put that on my my credit report. Good luck on that one.
Did you get into the bulletin boards back in the day, man? The where you had to like your modem and you dialed some jackass's computer in
Yep.
like Misquamicut or whatever, and
Yeah.
you know you log in and see what they had, and they had an upload download ratio where you could leave stuff, take stuff, but there had to be a certain ratio and all that stuff. That was pretty fun. I
I used
enjoyed
to go
that.
to the Fordham Bulletin Board, which was run by priests, because it was local and it was free, and it was not literally nothing to get off it. AOL though had a members helping members section, and that was free. Didn't count against your time.
Yeah.
And if you were on Geos, it didn't work on the Windows version, but the Geos version, if you left from members helping members, and you came back, you went back and forth like 3 or 4 times, it would stop registering, and it would just think you're in the free area, and then I could go do anything but never. I couldn't play Neverwinter Nights that way and not get nailed. I would have loved to, but yes, Neverwinter Nights, $12 an hour to play Neverwinter Nights on AOL, and long distance charges on top of that. I don't think so.
Oh, the 14.4, yeah, that was it. I had the 2400 I started with. I bumped the 14.4, and then I think I went to the 56. I think it was. I did the big jump.
53, but then it was like 56 if you did whatever.
Yeah, that was fun, man. That was a fun thing. I enjoyed those days. It was simpler. Back then, I remember I got onto the internet because I was on in college in 92. I got out and I got on and I had to pay for it, right? And then you're on these IRC. Back then, IRC, Internet Relay Chat, they had these chat groups and you join in and you talk about weird-ass topics or whatever.
Yep.
It was all text-based, you know? And I remember I would join the same kind of groups I was on through college, but I would just get insta-kicked. And then the kick message would be, if you have to pay for the internet, you don't belong on the internet. And I remember I'm like, holy shit. It was like 93, right? Now imagine that. Imagine that now, you know?
You know, I did a lot of time, oh God help me, on AOL and the AOL chat rooms. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Here's one that you guys want to take a sound clip of. Cops Who Flirt. That was a
nice.
Oh yeah, listen.
Dude, I remember IRC. I joined a place that was called Dog Lovers, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to talk about German Shepherds. No, it's about people like bang dogs. I'm like, what the fuck kind of place is this? How does this exist? What the hell? What am I listening to or watching here? Like, I mean, how does this
Canine carnal knowledge.
Holy shit!
Brought to you late night on. Do
you remember this leads us to something I was just thinking about? It remind me. Back FTP sites, remember those things on the internet back in the day? FTP sites were like Dropbox now, I guess, right? They were just like text-based hard drives somewhere that people put shit into. Now, there was the big one for TSR, was called Greyhawk Stanford EDU, greyhawk.stanford.edu, right? And it had all the things, it had everything. It was before people scanned shit, really. You know, most of the images, some scanned stuff, but it wasn't that big of a deal because we're talking 94 or whatever, right? But then with Wizards, TSR wasn't Wizards yet. TSR went in there and just started threatening them with lawsuits, threatening Stanford University because they had all this kind of what they claimed was their proprietary copyrighted shit, which most of it now would never pass muster as proprietary copyright shit. Even before the D20 license was put out, it would never pass muster. But Stanford said, what? I'm not dealing with this. Just delete the fucking hard drive. And they fucking deleted it. There was battles and wars back then. I was like in law school, 94, I think it was. And there was like battles and wars raging about this. And then people would download everything they could to try to do a backup. Now I remember Mazalewski, what the hell was his name? Grognardia, dude, right? He asked about that. And I said I was in the thick of shit, so I give the summary. And there was Sean K. Reynolds. He went in there as the second TSR moderator to the entire shit show that was going on.
Yeah.
And he calmed down people, but he still was the face of TSR. And I give the whole spiel. Here's what happened. Here's how it went down. Sean K. Reynolds commented on Mazalewski's Grognardia, says, yeah, it's pretty much accurate. It's how it went down. And then fucking Grognardia goes and writes a fucking article for a magazine. And he uses 90% of what the fuck I said. You know that? No credit, nothing given. I'm like, motherfucker. So I didn't feel bad when we fucking slammed this fucking adventure from shit, you know, the Dwemer mount, you know? Like, fuck you, asshole.
Well, here's an interesting thing, actually. I actually just noticed earlier tonight, I was like, hey, how's Grognardia doing? And James is back to posting on grognardia.blogspot.com.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And listen, you know, God bless him. I'm glad to see he's back.
Yeah.
He certainly does write some stuff that I find interesting. Some I don't, but I know what a feat it is to post multiple times a day.
Oh yeah,
daily. I did that.
He's been gone for years. I wonder if he would just writing. Now he just posted all the shit he wrote for the last 5 years. You know,
you know, I don't. He could be. I did find it interesting. He wrote something earlier this week that actually mirrors a blog post, not a blog post, a podcast episode I had about Gary and how Gary had said that basically if you find one of your players reading the Dungeon Master's Guide, you should probably pretty much flog them and take them out for a beating. And I'm looking at him, I go, James is writing the same stuff. I go, I guess I kind of felt flattered. It's like, well, it looks like James actually listens to the podcast on occasion.
Yeah.
So, James, thank you. But no, listen. James is a talented writer, and it's nice to see him back. There aren't too many bloggers from our time, Joe.
No,
including you. You know,
no, I don't blog at all anymore. Really, no. It's just I you know what I mean. It's a funny thing that when I was blogging, I wasn't playing. Now that I'm playing a lot, I don't blog. I guess I was, you know, I was thinking more about it when I wasn't playing and I had more to think about. Plus, back then, I mean, don't forget, the OSR back then was just a lot of guys trying to figure out, and I say guys because 99% of us were guys. We're trying to figure out what the fuck this was, what it is, what it was all about, and how to be, because when we all played in separate silos around the world, really, right? So we had our little groups. And nobody knew if we were doing it right or the same way, unless you went to conventions. Then you had some sort of homogenization. But we were all just sharing. Here's how I did it, you know, sheepishly, reluctantly putting it forward to see if we were a bunch of freaks doing it wrong. And then we all seemed, hey, you know what? I kind of did it like that too. Or I did this and I saw that. And and then we started sharing ideas and sharing concepts and beliefs. And then fucking Matt Finch came forward with the old school primer. And it's like, yes, that's it. You know, and then so we were trying to figure it out back then, right? And so I think that era, that age of it is gone. It's over with, right? That time in the period of the OSR is kind of done with. That was it 07 to I don't know 13, 14, 15?
Yeah. I came in around 2008, 2009 on the blog side.
Yeah, about the same.
You know, actually, I don't even know. I've been doing it for so fucking long. I don't even know. 2009. Yeah. I secured the website in 2008. Yep. Put up one post in 2008. In 2009, I really started. So, I mean, oh my God, we're going to, what's it, 12, 13 years?
Yeah.
This year? Yeah. But, you know, things change. What my blog was when I first started, which had no focus, then became very focused on the OSR. And then after becoming focused on the OSR, we started getting multiple posts a day. I didn't miss a day of posting in years. Still haven't missed a day of posting in. I'm going to be retired for 5 years, so probably 6, 7 years. I haven't missed a day of posting.
Yeah.
Now with help, I will admit I do have help.
Oh yeah.
Sundays I don't post. Christopher Stoggill takes over for me on that end, but I'm also doing a daily podcast, and I find that a lot of my opinion stuff that would have been up on the blog side becomes more of a podcast or a live stream like this, because the free flow of ideas, you want to get it out. You don't necessarily want to censor yourself. I mean, I think we pretty much know that Tenkar does not censor, even on his blog post. And do I occasionally cause issues for people in the industry when they screw something up for good? Sometimes it's a well-meaning screw up. Do I point this stuff out? Probably, especially if it's newsworthy. That is what I do, but I do less gaming content. I used to do a lot of game theory earlier on, and it's less of that, because I think I get more into the theory opinionated stuff on the spoken word, whereas the written word is more, hey, this is the news in the industry, this is what's getting released, this is what's coming up. So I think there's different mediums for different thought processes.
I agree. When I'm thinking something out, it's easier for me to write something. When I'm just talking shit about something, though, like my podcast, at the Anchor podcast, that Wondrous Imaginings one, right? I don't do it too often because it started out as me doing a podcast about a topic, and it kind of felt, I don't know, too formal. And then it just evolved a bit, and it was just me and my brother sitting around a fire pit on a Sunday night or Saturday night, just having a few, smoking a few, and just shooting the shit about the games that week or whatever we're doing, or just ideas. Right. And that became fun. It became a fun podcast, So, but with COVID, we haven't done it in Christ, who knows how long, right? So it's just not, it's not a thing anymore. I think we did one over the summer because we had really low numbers and we sat apart, and you know what I mean, the other side of the fire kind of thing. And that was it. Right. That was the only one we did. But looking forward to get back to that. Maybe by the summer we'll all be vaccinated and good to go again. That was a good time. That's I think that the spoken word is more suitable for what we're doing right now.
Definitely, and getting the live feedback from the listeners or from the viewers, or however you want to call it. I think that it improves the podcast. I think it improves the YouTube, the live stream.
Yeah,
feedback is everything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the interactivity of this, just talking to these guys, that's made the whole damn podcast tonight. That's the fun part. That's why it's like, I liken it to a real tavern, like Tenkar's Tavern, where you're sitting there with your buddies and you're talking, and your friends stroll in after dinner after their house, and they walk down the tavern, and here we are just talking the shit, and you join right in the conversation.
Right? You think you were gonna leave, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got sucked back in. No, I don't want buy back, and you buy, and I'm getting bought a beer. Holy fuck! My kidneys are going to be screaming after this. Shit.
Speaking of getting bought a beer, I think if we hit 1,000 subscribers, we get monetized or something, right?
And here's again, folks. I said at the beginning of the podcast. I'll say it again. If you enjoy what Joe and I do, subscribe. Hit the notification button and subscribe. Again, we do this every 2 Fridays a month, the 2nd and the 4th. Glenn Hauser and I do this on Fridays, the 1st and the 3rd. Bad Mike and I, every Wednesday, we get together and we do a live stream. And for TotalCon next month, we will be doing it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. We will bring in Joe. We will bring in Glenn. I don't want to mention the other guests that we plan on bringing in, because we haven't confirmed them. I'm almost certain we're going to get them, but we've got a number of people from the industry that we want to bring in, and just do an hour and 15 each night, so you feel like you were hanging out at a convention. That you got chances.
I think I'm on a Friday, right, man?
Yeah.
I mean,
we might have you and Glenn both in.
All right,
and just cool. Do it as a free for all for us.
Yeah. See my smiling face. I still work for a living, man. That's why you're not seeing my smiling face. I got plausible deniability as to who the hell I am and who the hell I'm not.
deniability.
Like as if it would be hard to. Hey, it's still got some deniability though. Yeah. No, I rather just not.
As I get cattail in front of my face.
Yeah.
Yes, Joey. But
3 jokes came to mind when you said that, but it would have brought us to NC-17, man.
yeah, the NC-17 is kind of a little.
Yeah.
It's just but I'm
You still got
thinking.
13 people.
Yeah, no, we'll do 14 on my end.
Yeah.
But folks, here, let me just throw something else out there. I'm probably going to probably come maybe after TotalCon. Actually, come to think of it, after I do 4 live streams in a week, I'm going to probably add in a live stream, a solo live stream. Might have an occasional guest on Mondays, probably somewhere around noon. Aim to be about an hour. That will also go up on the podcast, so the podcast people won't lose anything. But the live stream certainly get some great interaction, and even the ones that I've done during the day have had great turnout. So I just think, why not? And some people just don't have time in the evening. Some people, are shift workers.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
Goldfinger's PG.
Hand in hand. Yes, but that was in humor.
And don't forget Octopussy too. Octopussy was the name of it alone. I mean, right? Oh God.
Oh God, it's right. So you'll appreciate this, Joe. So Glenn asked me, "So you and Joe hang out?" I go, "What do you mean hang out? You guys, hung out and talk?" I'm like, "Well, we talk all the time." No, I mean like go to the bar. I go, "Joe's in Connecticut, New York. We're in the world of COVID, so we don't get our seasonal, 2 or 3 times a year trip down to the Complete Strategist." Goes like, "No, Glenn, that didn't happen."
No, not this year, man. At least, last time we hung out in person was actually TotalCon last year, right?
Yeah,
that was it. The last time I saw you.
Yeah. And then before that, it was like right before Christmas.
Yeah. We tried to do a seasonal thing, Christmas and all that, and you get down there and see what's up. But yeah, that was it. Christ, God, I can't wait till this bullshit's over with. I think I speak for the entire world.
What was the key phrase? 2 weeks to slow the.
Yeah. Here we still are. Now we got these new fucking strains coming. Who knows if the vaccine works against them? They say we have no reason to think they won't. Well, motherfucker, that's because you haven't seen it yet. Of course you have no reason to think they won't. So yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? But hopefully it does. Hopefully it just shit goes away.
Bob wants to know where about in Connecticut.
I'm near New Haven. Yeah.
Not the old Haven, but the new Haven.
The new one. Not associated with Yale whatsoever, though. Nope, not me. Not at all.
Not at all. No, siree, Bob. I'm only here because my job is nearby.
Yeah. Jesus, UK is giving 1 dose. What? It's only giving 1 dose of vaccine when it gets new strains. Huh. Man. You know who I want to see who's up there near Massachusetts? He's in Connecticut as well. The dude who does the I think the Sores and Stitchery blog, Eric Fabiacci or something.
Yeah.
I can never pronounce his fucking name.
Eric the Fab.
Yes, fabulous Eric. He has a great fucking blog, dude. He talking about blogs who are still doing it. That motherfucker's still kicking ass. Great blog posts, in depth, researched, well thought out. I enjoy every one of his blog posts.
Daily or multiple times per day.
Yeah,
He does not get the traffic that he deserves.
I know.
He deserves more.
It's all old school, and it's really good. He posted something tonight about his Traveler game, I think. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you know this, but I don't know how much of a crossover there is. But MeWe, holy shit, MeWe is blowing the hell up. We have the MeWe group for Dungeons and Dragons. I started that thing a few years ago, and we're up to what, how many? 5,700 and something now.
5,750 or something like that. It is fucking amazing.
We had 4,000 in November.
They are a very active group. They're active both in the group. They're also active in the chat channel.
Yeah.
It really is spectacular to see. Are there occasionally, like Joe and I and Tim, we try to screen out the bots. We do a pretty good job doing so.
Yeah.
But occasionally they slip in. So we try to remove them. We've had some angry handshaking because people were removed for discussing politics. There's a zero tolerance in that community for political discussions, real world discussions. If you want to talk about Roman politics back in the 1200s and how it affects, back at the turn of the century and how it would be reflected in Glorantha, fine, fucking have at it. I don't give a flying fuck. All right, but I don't care if it's American politics, UK, Canadian. If it's English speaking and in English, we probably don't want to see it. And if it's in a foreign language, we'll probably delete it anyway because we can't understand it.
Yep, I deleted about 15 or 20 people just because after some shit happened, there were people talking about it, and it was both sides. Everybody got it. You mention anything political, you got booted. The only people who didn't get booted for mentioning political shit was the people who said, "Could we stop talking political shit?" That was it.
Yeah.
Everybody got kicked, and that was it. It's a one-time deal, man. But yeah, it looks like Parler went down. Mines were stuck up for a while and booted people, and people are just tired of Facebook and Twitter and the contention. That's why we advertised the Maybe Dungeons and Dragons group as no drama, no bullshit, just D&D and clones and retro clones. That's it, man.
Yeah, so, MeWe has done very well, and here's the thing with MeWe. They got a real shot in the arm when Google closed Google+. But MeWe actually went the extra step. They reached out to none other than Matt Finch.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they did a video interview with Matt Finch of what can we do to make this a better platform for old school gamers. Now, do I know if they actually implemented any of that shit? Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But they actually acknowledge that we existed, and that's better than a lot of places.
Yeah, exactly. Not too many places give a shit about that level of, why did we just get, 500 more people or 1,000 more people all of a sudden? Where are these groups coming from? And they actually gave a shit to ask. And it's like, wow, that's pretty damn cool, man.
Yeah. So, right now, I think the D&D group is adding 75 on average, 75 people a day to it. The numbers are amazing. So we're probably gonna add 400 or 500 people this week.
Yeah. I can't wait. It's going up and up and up. I'm looking forward to hitting 10 grand. When I started it, there was very few groups on MeWe. Google Plus was just going away, and there was the Minds MeWe debate. Where do we go? I went to MeWe. I didn't like Minds, and I'm like, there was another D&D group had about 200 members, and I'm like, I'm going to start a group. And not too many groups had a lot of members. 200 was big. And so I'm like, I'm going to start a Dungeons & Dragons group too. And then what I did was I just said, I'm gonna beat this guy. I'm gonna have more people. And his group is gone and mine is still there. And I added Tim and Eric as moderators, and it was like, this is great, man. And what I did was I kept friending everybody in every group that was related to role-playing games as personal friends. And then I invited them to the D&D MeWe group. And so that's why I got like 2,000 or 3,000 friends still, like personal friends.
Hey, God bless, man.
Yeah. So it works. And now I'm not adding any more people as an individual because the thing is growing organically. I don't need to do it like that anymore.
No, it's really gratifying to see.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you start getting into political argument, and that goes for on MeWe in the D&D group or Tenkar's Tavern or any of the groups, whether it's there on Facebook that I am there as an admin. My suggestion to you is this: if you see a political discussion going on or political name calling people those, words that everybody, the ears turn up and go, he just said what?
Yeah.
That 3-letter word? That 4-letter word? What? Yeah. What? Listen, tag a mod.
Yep.
All right, PM a mod. Don't get into a tit for tat because guess what? When we go through to clean that shit up, you're just going to be another casualty. You're going to be going along with them because I'm not going to spend time figuring out who started what. This isn't fucking elementary school. He called me a name and then I pulled his hair and then she came over and punched me in the back of the head. So I kicked him in the cock. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You're all acting up.
Yep.
You all go.
No
So they
current
like,
day politics, no current day social issues, no current day bullshit. It's a place to escape. That's the way I look at it. That's what D is. That's our thing that we do to escape. And just another
yep.
venue to escape with it, you know?
You know,
But
and listen, these live streams, the Tavern Chat podcast, these are ways that I escape. I get to talk about something I'm passionate about. If you can't
yeah,
tell how much I have a joy for gaming, and it's not just joy for gaming, it's joy for people within the community. It is a fucking community, even with the naysayers who, you know, with all due respect, go fuck yourself. Who says, no, it's a community, it's a movement. No, movement's not a bowel movement, all right? It's a community. It's people. People make up a community. It's a community, and it's a beautiful community. And I love to see this community come together.
yeah.
So let's keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree totally. Everything else that divides us, we don't need that shit, man. It's enough out there to divide us, you know? Yeah.
Shit, yeah. I mean,
You know,
fuck.
I don't know how this came to mind, but somehow in this little conversation, I drove back to a question in my head that somebody raised before about which OSR games will survive. Something that just hit me was just that in terms of how we do communities, you know, now we're so much online and all that. I mean, we can't ignore
Right.
the fact that so many people, because of COVID, are playing on things like Roll20 or whatever. I think
Right.
the clones or whatever that survive are the ones that integrate well with those two. Because I mean, right now I'm playing a 5e game, and we've integrated all the bells and whistles and the character sheets. And you click on the character sheet, and your sword swings, and there's the little graphic, and the damage is automatically rolled. That's fucking fantastic. To the extent that these swords and wizardry and old school essentials, or whoever else wants to survive, can integrate that level of shit into their game, into Roll20, that would be fantastic. And I think that helps them, gives them the edge. Because even though, you know, we like to play in person, sometimes you just can't. Sometimes the people you play with are too far away. So if you could do that, you know, what is Swords and Wizardry? Do they have some level of character sheet integration and magic item integration and all that stuff for Roll20 or anything?
Some probably very basic stuff. I'll have to reach out to I think Michael Potter's in charge of that stuff. I'll have to reach out to him. But here, so I was recently asked via email. So it's a member of the community. Yusuf, could you recommend a good resource for learning how to play a game using the theater of the mind? I had done a Google search, which had revealed blog posts and at least one book. I plan on checking these resources, but I also wanted to ask an experienced gamer if there's a recourse for somebody like me out there that I should be looking at. I want to get an online group going with my friends, but I've not been impressed by the VTTs I see. I have backed one on Kickstarter, looks promising, but has not yet been released. So I'm looking into theater of the mind options. Thank you so much, and join the podcast. So now, Joe, you've gamed with me on Roll20.
Yeah.
You know how fucking horrible I am with a player, so we're not going to go to that. But
you're good when your attention is focused,
right? And my I just fucking like good, and it's not like I'm doing anything, Joe. It's just like boop, zone out. I use Roll20 as my VTT of choice, but use very few of its features. I use Fog of War to reveal the map, the dice roller, occasionally the show a handout feature, and rarely the character sheets. I use voice and video via Discord, as Roll20 seemed to be buggy as hell for such, and it was. Remember when we would get like video for one person but no sound, and sound for somebody over in like Vancouver, but no
using
video?
Hangouts for that shit. Remember, we had Roll20. We still do that. Still Hangouts and Roll20.
Now I stress this part. I don't use tokens. I use the pointer feature to ping a place on the map and allow the players to do the same. Where are you searching? Where the monsters are? Where folks are positioned for combat? Occasionally, I'll draw some X's. It plays much like my face-to-face sessions, as it seems to me that the DM winds up mapping just to speed things up. Thus, the Fog of War is a perfect fit. And the only use of miniatures we ever had at my tables was for marching order. And that is true. That is how my old school games were played. Now, I do understand with 5e, facing is more important. And you know what? The bells and whistles are fun. And I guess what turned me off to Fantasy Grounds was that it seemed like the bells and whistles were an integral part of the rule set. And Roll20, I don't feel it. I have to use everything. I should go back with Fantasy Grounds too. Personally, now that they have the new engine for it and see if it works better for me.
Hey, speaking of new systems, you were talking before we started about this Savage Pathfinder world or some shit. What's do you maybe explain a little bit better to me? We only talked a little bit about it.
All right. Well, yeah. Before we popped in, we also mentioned you can get the Hand and Eye of Vecna as a classic AD&D player. Cool. One of my players had a Hand of Vecna, and I finally removed it from them when I realized what a fucking pain in the ass it was. In the Tomb of Horrors, it's like, well, you could have lost a hand, but instead you lost your artifact. He wasn't too happy. But you can buy that for $130. The reason why I say you can buy the Hand and Eye of Vecna for $130 is if you want to get Savage Pathfinder, which is Pathfinder's first adventure path, and the rules for Savage Worlds Pathfinderized. I mean, Savage Worlds is a very good universal rule set, which is kind of like loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
But if you want a set of those rules that are made for fantasy role-playing, pretty much like for GURPS when they came out with Dungeon Fantasy, you have Savage Pathfinder. Well, here's the thing, right? If you want to get the box set of the rules, which is $200, and the box set of the adventure, which is $300 or $100, 2 boxes are $300 fucking dollars.
Jesus.
For now, and here's my issue.
The PDF is a lot cheaper. I would imagine.
Not a lot cheaper. Yeah, a lot cheaper. I think the PDFs are $25. And the PDFs for everything is like $75, some shit like that. But here's my issue. I could, and it would go up on my shelf and never get played. But no, worse than that, it'll never get pulled off the shelf. Might not even get opened up because it's not like I'm going to look at it and say, with God, like the fantasy trip. Hey, maybe I should really understand these rules because I can maybe write an adventure for it. I know people who have connections getting stuff published for it. Yeah. I can maybe vaguely, possibly see shit like that happening. I am never writing anything or doing anything with, Savage Pathfinder. That being said, the Adventure Path, and I'm not an Adventure Path fan. It's a great Adventure Path. I think it's the first one they did. It's really good. And the Savage World rules are really good. I'd be happy to play them as a player.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not buying that for that much money, though.
No. So now, could I spend $130 and have my own Hand and Eye of Vecna? I could. And if I was single, I certainly would. But if I spend $129.99 on it, I may be single. And I don't want. That is nothing that I wish for. And no, actually, I know Rach would not do that to me, but I would never hear the end of it. She's like, "Where the fuck?"
You would as soon as she got her new yoga setup, the new interview, right? Isn't it a tit for tat thing with husbands and wives?
No, because I just got her this like I don't know, Hindu wooden carved like mini altar.
Oh, okay.
So no. I plan to set it out in advance, and no, you have to more wine for Eric. No, I think we've had enough wine.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I have my. I want to call it my grape knee-high, but
I've been doing just seltzer water here because my 1 year vow of no drinking or no weed, so I'm just doing the seltzer water thing. But speaking of which, though, it's going through me, man. It's been an hour and 45, and either you could talk for a minute or two by yourself, or we could probably might be a good place to end.
You know what? It's probably a good place to end because I still have to record Gamers Health with Rachel.
Okay. All right.
So, folks, our live listeners, again, thank you.
Yes, absolutely, guys.
If you're listening on the podcast, again, I'm going to make the same plea. Pop into YouTube real quick, Eric Tenkar on YouTube, youtube.com/Eric Tenkar. You know, if I'd known I was going to be sharing this channel with other people, I probably would have called it something different, like just Tenkar's Tavern. But fuck me, it's a bit too late now, right? Yeah. Go to youtube.com/Eric Tenkar, subscribe. It helps. It helps grow the channel. A stronger live audience makes for a stronger podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all feeds, and I really do appreciate it. Joe appreciates it.
Yeah. If you do the thumbs up, if you subscribe, if you comment, if you share this,
Yeah.
that's how this thing grows and we get more and more people and it becomes more of an interactive experience, becomes a conversation with all of us, we're working on trying to figure out how we could, maybe drag people in for a few minutes or a little bit of it, so that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, God knows I could be doing this thing fucking live 5 days a week, and then I might be single. You never know.
Hey.
You never know, folks. You never know. But we are in the midst of the world of COVID, folks. And now I say this every night. I don't apologize for it. Use your common sense. Joe, myself, we're not medical professionals. I'm not going to give you fucking advice. Aside from use your common sense. We like to say that as gamers, we use our common sense in game, right? Well, this is your life. This is the life of your loved ones. Use your common sense.
That's really it. It's the life of everybody's loved ones. And that's the way I look at it. It's not that I'm saying I'm strong, I'm tough, fuck the masks, I can handle it. It's my choice. I just don't want to get somebody else sick. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. I don't want that on my conscience, even though I would probably never know that I did get somebody sick. I don't want there the chance to be that I did get somebody sick. So therefore, I'm going to wear the stupid masks until this is all over with.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Folks, be safe, be well. God bless you all. Roll those dice. Roll them well. And, well, knock on wood, you're going to hear me later on. You know what? Friday and Saturday are covered because we got the 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll see you all later on tonight and Sunday.
All right, folks. Take care. Thanks for listening. Later.